Hello friends, this is Odds, and today we're going to talk about my experiences with the first few days of the MMR test. In these tests, behavior is tinkering and tweaking the parameters of the matchmaking, and they're trying to find which of these days has the perfect sweet spot of queue times, but also evenly matched opponents. And the implications of some of these results I think are a bit scary. I'm going to tell you my experiences. On the first day, we definitely had a lot of chaotic matches. It almost felt like the MMR was turned off. The opponents were all over the place. Sometimes we would have teammates that were relatively clueless, with killers that didn't really seem like they were very seasoned. And then the next match, we would play against a killer that was extremely good with very reliable teammates. And the perks were basically really hard to predict. Every match felt a bit different. There was a very decent amount of killer variety. No one seemed to be sweating as much. And as a result, I found this very enjoyable. Although I also imagined that if you were a new player and then they toss new players but also experienced players at you, that must be quite frustrating. So maybe this day for new players was really not so good. But as a killer, I obviously loved it. Only 50% or so of survivors were running dead hard, which already tells you how much they're trying to win. And take this game, for example, where I played Hunters. I ended up going to the cowshed, which is a bit unlucky. It's a really bad map for killers. And I had forgotten to equip perks. Oops. Didn't matter though. The survivors, they were not terrible, but they made some mistakes and I ended up winning. I had a really good chance and the game was quite enjoyable. Now compare that with days 2 and 3. In one of these days, I also went to the cowshed. This time, they sent me there with map offerings. Map offerings during these days were absolutely rampant. So if you're one of those killers that wants to enjoy playing indoors every now and then, well, you're gonna go to Macmillan and Out of Haven every other game. And yeah, well, they sent me here. And even though this time I had a proper build, I got my ass kicked. They made some mistakes here and there, but at the end of the day, they used the map really well, used their perks really well. And near the end, I could have maybe contested 1 or 2 kills. I ended up only getting 1, and they complained that I done ult. So yeah, seems like on days 2 or 3, from what I heard in my community, people were a bit more vitriolic in the post-game chat, but that might be subjective. This also meant, however, that my teammates, if I played Survivor, were extremely good. Watch this game where we played against a camping pig, and I had to go on exchange, and even though I was playing solo, my teammates still were absolutely on point. Check out this really crazy save with a firecracker. We ended up giving this pig a few more kills than we'd like. I think they tried to be a bit too altruistic, but still, this could have been a 1 match. Not long after that, we played against a Hunters that was absolutely insane. One of the best Hunters I've ever played against, probably. Check out this hit that she hit me with out of absolutely nowhere. Not long after that, one of our teammates decided to just give up. So it was a 3v1 very early in the game. But my 2 other teammates did not give up. We actually managed to push through a few gens. At one point, both of them were down, but here comes a flashy save. And we actually ended up making a bit of a comeback. Probably because the killer was not playing as seriously as he could have, but still, really crazy game. Really good survivors on my team overall, which was pretty great. But what's not so great for the killer is that this time the dead hards are not 50%, they are almost 80%. Nobody wants to play against really strong killers without dead hard. And in fact, we saw a few of those. We played against a Blight with the best perks and the best add-ons in the game, and they were really good, so they absolutely kicked everyone's ass. And I guess this is why people always want to bring that hard. They want to be able to really use it against weaker killers and also use it against stronger killers, because it's one of the better perks to have then. So yeah, on the second day it was 79%, on the third day it was 68%. And it was pretty crazy. Also on the third day, I could tell the matchmaking maybe was a bit more restrictive. I don't know what happened, but for the first time ever, I actually had to wait minutes to get a game as a killer. In the past few months, getting into a game as a killer was a matter of 5 seconds. I never waited more than 10 or 15 or 20 seconds tops. But no, this time the game actually took its time to find my opponent. And when it did, believe it or not, it's not like they were very different from each other. All of the games felt the same. And the perks, items, map offerings, it all really felt like every game was a repeat of the previous one. Another thing that I noticed is that we were constantly playing with the same people. Despite cross-platform being on and everything, I would just see the same survivors on my team when I played solo and against me when I played killer. Check out this Oni, for example, who gave me the hatch and then said that he really loved me because I was the only survivor that didn't use that hard. He already had played against me before. And yeah, it feels a little bit bad. Take, for example, this match where I played Hag. Now, in my normal games, in normal MMR, with Hag, I can do extremely well, even with no add-ons and very minimal or like one perk. This match was crazy. Yeah, Ormond is not the best map for Hag, and I'm not running the best add-ons, but still, these guys, despite being under some pressure and playing really well since the beginning, they use every single dead hard and every single perk to its absolute limit. And you're dealing with boon totems and dead hards and decisives and everything every single match, plus a couple toolboxes. Why not, right? So, a game that would typically in normal MMR mean that I do really well with very little effort. This time, every survivor is really well prepared, and I end up getting 2 kills. So this already tells me, okay, next game, if I want to win, I'm gonna use a map offering myself. I'm gonna use better add-ons myself. I'm not gonna mess around with a somewhat good build. I'm just gonna bring straight up the best build possible, and that's really what concerns me. If this MMR really does become stricter, you're gonna see more of this. Check out this Dwight, for example. He blinds me from a suspiciously long distance, and later we find out that he doesn't have any add-ons to extend his flashlight range, right? Well, how could he blind me like that? Is that a cheater? Well, you don't know. It's what comes with MMR. You're gonna see the same perks. You're gonna see the same killers. What does this mean? If you're playing Survivor, it means that you're going to have to fall into using more dead hearts, and you're going to fall into using more strong meta perks and items, because that's what you need. And as a killer, it means that you'll be basically punished. If you get better and better and better without using meta perks, then you'll go against more and more and more survivors that do use meta perks. And it doesn't feel really rewarding. Ultimately, this just reminds me about the MMR debate that I had a long time back. I'm going to link that video up if you guys want to check it out. And the ultimate takeaway is that while I am okay playing against people of my skill level, it really is boring to do so with the current meta. I really, really hope that the boon changes that they've announced is not the only thing they do to the meta, because playing with this sort of variety is just really soul-sucking. And as I said, it hurts not so much people like myself who will adapt and do other things, but people that want to get into the game and want to get a little bit better. Once they do and they realize this is what the game is about, I feel like they're going to be very discouraged. But by all means, do not listen to anything I said when it comes to giving your own feedback. Give the developers the feedback that you felt when you played the game, and please share it with me. I'd love to hear what day 1, 2, and 3 was like for you. Day 4 I actually missed, so I would love to hear as well what happened, and we'll have 2 more days of testing in April. Looking forward to whatever those bring. I'll keep you guys updated on any changes that happen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.